Hey everybody, welcome to Arrow on Target. We're your hosts.
You can find us on Twitter at JohnWright777.
And ChrisWright250. So, this week. Lots of stuff happened.
This is the penultimate episode of this season.
Wouldn't next week be the penultimate episode?
No, next
of the
week
season?
it would be the final episode. The penultimate is the one before the final.
Really?
The one before the last.
Is that what the definition of penultimate is?
Yes, it is. Man, my microphone is like...
I thought
weird.
that the definition of a penultimate was like the peak.
No, it's the one before the end. Look it up.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. All right, so this week we had lots of crazy things that happened. As you would expect, there was a Q&A with Stephen Amell earlier. I actually tweeted out the link to both of them. It was a part 1 and part 2. And on
Facebook.
Yes, on Facebook. And he kept reiterating that, guys, this is not the finale episode.
Right.
And just, I guess, because of the way it ended, where it's like, if this was the finale episode, everyone would be so
Just
mad.
trying to prepare everyone or something?
I don't know. It was just really like, he was just like, it's not the finale episode, guys. You know, just keep that in mind whenever you're watching. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't know quite how to take it either. But lots of epic things happened.
It did move a lot. A lot happened, but like it also moved a lot slower. Basically, we talked about this last week, where last week, this week, and the finale are all kind of just one big story, and so
they kind of happened back to back to back,
back to back, and and they all lead each other, and because of that, it did feel slower. Like Oliver just stood in the clock tower for most of the
most of the second half, and just a lot of things. But there was a lot of things that happened, and that literally at the end of the last episode, we had everyone at risk, every major character, except for Sarah, because Sarah was who knows where. I guess we'll find out next episode where she was.
I don't know,
maybe.
Well, okay, so I think. In the trailer for next week, it looked like we saw Nyssa Al Ghul, and my theory was that Sarah went to
there,
to see her for some reason. Like
gotcha.
She said, "I need to go see an old friend," and what other old friend besides either Slade or Nyssa
and
or
she didn't go see Slade.
No.
There was Nyssa. I mean, unless it was the Russian, but I mean, I almost feel like the Russian. There's something that happened to him, that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see him going past this season.
Yeah, and they weren't really buddy-buddy on the island that much anyway.
Right.
So he was more of a pal of Oliver, which was really nice to see how he got in with the Russian mob, like how he got those tattoos and stuff. It was nice to see him in that way.
So the thing about the flashbacks right now that I don't like is the fact we already know where this is going.
Yeah, and also the question, well, I guess we kind of always knew, but there was always that question in your mind, hey, what exactly happened? But as we approach that 5-year mark where he comes off the island and goes back to the city, we're going to see more, and it's going to be less and less of a surprise, I think. And I don't think the show needs the flashbacks even to keep us going or keep us interested. Early on, it very much did.
Yeah.
It used the island to get our interest and to capture our attention, but now, do we really need them?
Well, anymore, you're right. In the first season, we were using the flashbacks to show this is how he learned this or his, and it's cool to see things like the Russian stuff. Okay,
that was cool.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
but
that
lended to the story, not necessarily this story that they're telling.
Right.
I guess my thing is, we know at some point he has the chance to cure Slade. He doesn't.
Yeah.
But then decides to try to kill him and shoot him through the eye.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
and I guess it's less about this episode, less of a complaint about this episode's island sequences, and more like we could have fit the last. I mean, you could truncate all of the island stuff down into a couple of minutes or a couple of whatever, and still have these emotional moments from the island stuff.
Yeah.
So why not do that? I guess was my question.
Right.
So, honestly,
right now it feels like much like commercial breaks. A lot of times make a show. You lose that momentum.
Yes.
It feels like this is just another momentum breaker, and I don't want to see this. I honestly just want to keep going with the exciting stuff that's happening in Starling City.
Exactly. And while the first season, the exciting stuff in quite a few episodes was on the island, this season, it's just kind of like you like what's going on in the city far more. All right, so we had a lot of things that went on. Malcolm.
Yep. Malcolm's back.
What in the world?
That happened pretty early on.
That was a crazy sequence, too, because it's immediately I was like, why are you running away from him? And you were like, no, I understand where Thea's coming from.
Oh, the fact that she's running away from this mass murderer terrorist?
Yeah, but he just saved her life, you know, and it's like,
if
she's
Osama bin Laden
daughter.
shows up and saves my life, I'm still running away from him.
No, that's true.
Or trying to punch him in the face.
That's true. But I mean, it's like, she is his daughter, and he was trying to save her life, so it's like in this city that's full of, like, these super villains, you know, I guess my thing was, why not partner up?
Because, you know, like you have to think about this, you know, just it's almost like institutionalized, an institutionalized bad guy in her mind. You know, it's like ever since for this whole year, he has been this.
That's true.
This person to be feared. And,
that's true.
Like, she didn't know he was alive. Wait, until this point, she didn't know he was alive because Moira.
Nope, she didn't tell him.
So, like, she's probably processing that information as well.
Well, we also now, like, at the end of the episode, we don't even know if he's alive now. So, like, that's crazy.
Right,
like,
she may have just killed him all over again.
She made a double tapped him.
But that being said, I told, like, her reactions were, like, some of the most natural reactions you're going to have in that situation.
That's true.
Know?
That's true. You're very correct there.
But I don't think he's going to stay dead. Do you?
No, I mean, we couldn't kill him by dropping a building on him, so, like, you know... I don't know.
Yeah, and he still didn't explain. Didn't she ask, how are you alive?
Well, he explained it to Moira back in the day where he was like, you know, because, like, he was like...
What did he say?
I think he bribed the coroner, and he knows people
but that doesn't explain.
who can stop his heart rate for a long time.
Okay,
that's
fine.
the way.
Whatever.
I mean, if he was associated with Al Ghul or whatever, who knows? A Lazarus pit may be involved.
Maybe.
You never know.
Yes, that's true. Although, no, he wouldn't have gone to him.
No, but they could have shipped his body.
Yeah, maybe. Possibly.
Dude, who knows? Who knows? That's still to be explained.
Do you want him to die?
No, dude. Okay, so I did. Like, I was, like, very skeptical about him being the bad guy. Like, last season...
You mean coming back?
Like, coming back and being another bad guy that we're going to have to deal with. Like... It just seemed really, like, stepping back to me. But the scene where he's fighting the Deathstroke minion, really kind of, that solidified in my mind that he is someone that's really to be feared because he genuinely still thinks that he did the right thing a year ago. Whenever he explained it to Thea, he said, whenever you hear my explanation, you'll understand. And it's like, no, I don't think anyone's ever gonna understand.
Correct.
But then whenever the Deathstroke guy comes up and he says, "You're out of arrows," and he says, "But you're not," and he takes the arrow out of that guy's back and then just that was janks
awesome.
him in the back of the neck. It's like, yeah, I could see Malcolm being kind of a cool villain, cool character.
So I read an interview that IGN did with the actor who plays Malcolm Merlyn.
Okay.
And they asked him several questions that had to do with like his future with. And he didn't come right out and say this. But the gist that I got from that interview was that he's going to try to bring Thea over to the dark side, if you will. Ooh. He's going to play the Darth Vader to Thea's Luke and try to bring her over to his side.
I could see that.
And I think, say the same kind of things you're saying.
Yeah.
You'll understand why I'm doing this once I explain it to you.
But it's like, like you said, he's been a bad guy in her mind so much that it would take a lot of explaining to let that happen. I did like, my thought was that whenever Thea finally gets to confront him, maybe this will help her out whenever she finds out that her brother is the Arrow or whatever. Right. That it's like maybe this will shock her back into reality and help her deal with some of the crap she's been through this season, because she's been through a lot.
So this is, do we have time for a theory about Thea?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Do we have time? We have nothing but time.
So this whole season, she's been just acting out and pushing everybody away,
much like Roy, who she spends a lot of time with.
That's true. Yeah. Being just a moody little, and then
hood wearing guy.
Yeah. And here comes along Malcolm Merlyn, and he's just gonna force his way into her life, which is what her family should have been doing.
Bully his way in.
Yes, bully his way in, and because he does that, she's going to feel endeared to him. She's going to trust him. She's going to start sympathizing with him because he's the one who's broken through her huge shell she's put up. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is what,
Moira should have been doing. Which is what Oliver should have been doing the whole time.
They've both been just kind of like, well, whatever you want to do. If you don't want it, I'm not gonna overstep my bounds.
Yeah.
The one who's gonna overstep his bounds is gonna be Malcolm Merlyn, and I think next season we could see Thea teaming up with him in a weird spot. Like, that would be weird.
That'd be awkward.
But I don't necessarily think that'd be a bad storyline to
I've always
explore.
kind of thought that she would be really kind of a cool villain or some sort, or some sort of a main player in the action. So
I'd rather see her on Team Arrow.
Well, you'd rather see everybody would rather see every fun character on Team Arrow, but that's not life, you know.
No, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I also love the throwaway Star Labs guy this time, who got a fairly big role.
I thought that was that same guy.
I don't know. All I know is that the dude from Star, wasn't he dead there whenever they got there?
We just heard it. Well, it was implied.
And they ripped off the thing from his wrist or whatever. But it's
he screamed, but we didn't see maybe bullet.
Maybe they just knocked him out and then they just left him on the pavement and called.
Although I guess Oliver and everybody they would have taken him with them.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have just left him there.
I don't know. I just feel like he had such a big role. He had 3 or 4 or 5 different maybe
that's why
5
I thought
lines,
it was that same
6
guy.
lines. And it's to have such a big role just to lay there and then get annihilated is
Should I look it up?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
No. You don't have to. It's not that big a deal because if we see him on the Flash, because this was my other thought was, hey, we're gonna see another character who's on the Flash.
Yeah.
And so because he's from Star Labs, another character that could show up on that show. But it's
whenever they gave the line they have the cure and it's in transit, it meant Barry was on his way.
He's just running. If it was in transit and at that point, a second later, he probably would have showed up. Right. Hey guys, here's the cure.
Like Jimmy John's.
I just saved up. Like Jimmy John's. I just saved your puny little city.
This cure so fast you'll freak.
Oh man! All right, so at the very beginning, I did want to do a throw out to Laurel here. A cool scene with her.
Which one?
Whenever she was firing the arrow at the very beginning.
That was cool.
I love the way that they played that. I love the way that she trembled a little bit as she pulled back on the bow, where it's just I'm about to fire an explosive at this wall and it's hard to pull this. That was a great scene. That was just a well played, well done scene from every perspective.
I agree with that. I don't like the fact that she was there in the first place.
I agree with you there. And I do think there was a couple of times this episode where you were just come on, Laurel, why are you here? That sort of thing. I think she was just there because she's a main character and they needed to put her in that situation in jeopardy. So she's not home at her apartment,
See,
drinking.
I guess this is my, what I hope they do, better next season is.
Yeah.
You think about something like, Superman and Lois Lane.
Yeah.
It always makes sense for Lois Lane to be in these situations because she's a reporter.
She's a reporter.
So she's going to try to get the story and be in these dangerous places. Okay. Laurel has literally no reason to be in any of these places other than she's, following Oliver.
Well, and even as the assistant DA, she doesn't really have...
That's what I mean.
They don't even have as
that an assistant
big of
DA.
Yeah, you don't really... You don't go run out and, investigate with the police or whatever. Or if you do, it's after the crime has already been committed.
Right.
It's you don't find yourself in those, in the moment actions. So yeah, exactly. So but I do like the idea. Her character is there's been so many times where we've come back and been like, man, why was she even in this episode earlier this season? For them to actually put some effort into her character, which I feel like is probably the most mishandled character on the show.
Yeah.
For them to put a little bit of effort into it and actually have something that was solid and good with her this episode, it's okay. I'll give you guys a little bit of credit.
So far, the thing that has worked best for her is what she's doing now. Is a supporting role for Oliver. She is supporting Oliver in whatever he's doing and being a backbone, for him instead of whiny. Person who brings him down.
Yeah, or just lost in a bottle somewhere
right.
for episodes at a time.
But her whole identity moving forward can't be just supporting Oliver. Right. Felicity supports Oliver, but that's not her identity. Right. Diggle supports Oliver, that's not his identity.
Right.
Right now...
That's all Laurel does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Felicity and Diggle. Felicity and Oliver had a great scene this time.
Yeah.
They're at the end where he's all in this funk and depression where he used the line, "I have failed this city."
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was so amazing. That was a great moment. And then whenever she kind of brings him back from the brink and says, you can save this city. You will save this city.
Yeah.
And you're not alone. Mm-hmm. And so that moment was a great moment between friends and between team members just to put in cement what this means to her and what this means to him. You know?
Yeah. It was really cool.
It was awesome.
Diggle, as far as Diggle goes, he didn't have much to do.
No, he really didn't.
There
was an awkward moment where
where he was carrying Felicity.
And it was like
dragging.
It was like he couldn't like quite get a handle on her.
So Oliver with his broken leg.
Yeah. So Oliver with the busted up knee, goes,
picks her up.
"Hey Diggle, I'll take that off your hands." What was this?
This is ridiculous. But yet he can go get Roy by himself and bring him back.
Right, but then on the other hand, we have Diggle who like grabbed the arrow, like the bow. After that, I like seeing Diggle with the bow. Whenever he took Felicity, Diggle took the bow.
Oh,
and I was just like, this is a cool thing. I want to see more of Diggle with a bow,
or just something besides a handgun. A giant Star Labs developed gun.
I want to see
a Diggle gun.
Dude, it would be awesome if he got some like a utility belt of some sort. Like if he, whatever.
Or I want to see him in some kind of armor. He can still keep the suit and tie look.
Oh yeah,
but just suit and tie armor.
Yeah, where it's or like suit and tie over some armor. So like as people grenades bounce off of
his suit and tie,
it just rips,
like just big holes in everything,
and there's just armor underneath.
That'd be awesome,
dude. It would be so cool.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that's you guys, Arrow writers, get on it. Get on it. Anyway, Lance, Detective Lance, was amazing at the beginning of this episode. It was really nice to see him go up against one of these minions of Deathstroke. It was really cool to see his the grenades. It was the 3 grenades.
The grenades,
just kind of dropped down.
It was ingenious.
It was.
It was good. That was well played. And I also liked seeing more of like the destruction of the city.
Yeah.
Like, last week it just felt like all these guys are just walking around. This time it actually felt like there's a lot of people,
Well, there was the iconic shot, whenever we pull back to the pull back on the city shots. A lot of times, they use kind of the same angle, that sort of thing. And this time we saw the same angle, but it had this like destruction and fire, and I don't know,
smoke.
I don't know why, but it had this effect on me where I just kind of my mouth kind of was just like dropped open. I was like, oh. Because it's like you're used to seeing this nice, clean, pristine city, but you see the same city from the same angle just destroyed, and you kind of get that same reaction that the people that live there and that Oliver has too. So there is one thing that I wanted to throw out there with Detective Lance and Sarah. There was a cool moment where it's revealed. I guess we haven't heard her name yet, the Canary. I guess we had never really officially in the universe called her that.
Right. Well, it's been on all these interviews with her, and then and
I think it was wasn't it the title of an episode?
It was the title of an episode. It's on IMDb, and so we knew it, but then once they said it, it was like, oh yeah,
I guess
they've actually said that.
Yeah.
But what was crazy was for a second I thought she was saying her name was Talia.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, well, I think on the Nissa Al Ghul, episode where Nissa was on there before, she called her by her assassin name, and it sounded like Talia as well, if I remember.
So it's probably that same thing.
Is the same name. So we just brought that back, and she officially got her name, and in fact is a hero now in the city. I think that this solidifies her as a legitimate hero in the city, as opposed to just that girl who helps the Arrow.
I mean, what it did was it more importantly solidified her as a hero in her own mind.
To herself?
To herself. Because before she's been really down on the fact, I'm a bad person. I'm not like you, Oliver. And yes, you are like me. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Back and forth. But not only does, the city see her as a hero, but she sees her. And I think, and hopefully moving forward into next season, the city, police force, anybody who's in the upper echelons, which I guess is all dead, so it's only new people. But anybody who, is in the power structure within the city will see them both as heroes.
Yes, and stop going after them or stop. But honestly, that adds a little bit of conflict, that sort of thing too. So that's really nice in the story sometimes.
Sometimes, but
it does get overplayed a little bit. It
gets overplayed. And we always compare the show to Batman,
right?
But
you're right. I see where you're going. You're saying that it's always nice whenever they reach that point where they stop chasing him and they start trusting him and working with.
They don't necessarily, hey, we're going to condone your behavior. We're just not going to do anything.
Yeah, there's an open file on you, and we're not going to.
But one of my favorite things about The Dark Knight was the depiction of the police force as using the symbol of Batman.
Yes.
Like they would dress up like Batman when they're going to get criminals because that empowered them and gave them more courage and struck fear in the heart of the criminals. Like it would be cool to see that kind of a thing, like police force wearing hoods and stuff like that, like
that would a SWAT team with a bunch of hoods.
Yeah.
I feel like that would limit your peripheral vision though.
It would. Somehow Oliver does. Maybe it's transparent from the inside.
Maybe
special material.
Or maybe it's
like mirrors.
Because he's an archer, he's just focused on that target all the time.
That's true.
So it's just go.
Yeah. Gotta stay on target, man.
Oh, you got to.
Yep. StayOnTargetPodcast.com.
Yeah. Plug number 1. There was a cool moment between Detective Lance and Sarah where she rescued the girl from the fire. And as she comes out the door, Detective Lance sees her. And I think that was the very first time that he's really seen her in like major amounts of like action, where he, it was almost a recognizing that, hey, my child has grown up and is, there's almost this just recognition on his face of like, oh my gosh.
He's seen her fight before, but that was the first time that he's seen her in a heroic action. And honestly, that he's what sold that scene.
Yes. Agreed.
His reaction sold that scene. Laurel's not so much.
No, not so much.
But he sold that scene.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool to see that just kind of some admiration for her. He's always admired her, fighting ability and her ability to survive. And
it's true.
I like whenever, Laurel says, "Hey, I'm with Sarah," he immediately like, "Oh, she's fine."
Like, "Oh, yeah, you're good."
Yeah. But it was cool to see him respect her like this.
Yes, and it was nice to see somebody like her do a heroic action that has like empathy for somebody who isn't like a major player or whatever. Because it's like a lot of times Oliver's dealing with these like big level bad guys or whatever, but we haven't really seen him rescue somebody on the street. Not really. We haven't seen him like saving
a cat out of a tree.
Yeah, I mean this is like the a little bit higher than cat out of a tree level. This is rescue a baby from a fire. Right. It's like this is iconic comic book stuff. And it's really cool. It's this it's a really empathetic hero.
We haven't talked about Blood yet.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so first question.
So much happened this time, Chris.
I know.
Gosh.
First question. Are you disappointed that Oliver didn't kill him?
No.
I am.
You are?
Well, yes, because I don't know, there's this. It's been a showdown that I've been waiting for all season. I've been wanting him to, get fed up with Blood and his crap,
and just put an arrow in his eye.
And just put an arrow in his eye and say, "You failed the city."
Okay, I can see that would have been awesome, but I also I see that Blood is a character where and Oliver he let him off the hook because Blood helped him, but Blood is a character that was always going to be destroyed by his own ambition.
I think he let him off the hook because he wasn't the pressing issue at the time. And because basically he said, "You really think that you're going to be mayor after this?"
Yeah.
And Blood said, "Well, if you tell them, I'll tell them your identity." And he says, "You do what you have to." So basically Oliver's not going to let him be mayor after this.
Right.
That.
And he said that.
And he said that. He's,
and I think that Blood's play there was interesting because he tried to jump horses in the middle of a race where he just said, "Hey, this isn't going to work out for me with Slade, obviously."
Right.
And so he just immediately puts all of his chips on Oliver.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I'm okay. I'm still okay with this. I don't think it's by any means a bad plot story. And I do like the fact that
but you just wanted to see Oliver, annihilate him.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted
the showdown.
Satisfaction.
Yeah.
Which hopefully we'll get that with Slade next week.
Honestly,
if we don't, I'm going to be mad.
Dude, honestly, I do love the idea of having Rochev kill him because we've had Rochev at a desk for most of the season.
Yeah. Here. And I love her as this character, her getting hit by a car, and she's a freaking Terminator again, man.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And I honestly kind of hope Slade dies, but I hope they don't kill her.
She sticks around. Yes, I really.
And she's a villain for future episodes.
We have all of this development to do with her still. We still don't know most.
Have they named her?
Most of her past. Besides her normal name, Isabel Rocha. No, I don't think so.
Well, because she's basically just a soldier of Slade's.
Right now,
at this point. Maybe she becomes the next Deathstroke.
Ooh, that would be cool. Female Deathstroke? Yeah. I like that. That would be awesome.
But, I do like the idea of Blood getting basically destroyed by his own trust and desire and ambition in, Slade.
Yes.
And, he basically has destroyed himself because
he
initiated all this. And I think he tried to have a redeeming moment there at the end whenever he gives them the cure. Like, hey, I'm gonna say, and that's what he's always wanted. Like, he's the guy that goes and sets the fire.
Oh yeah, dude.
And then
well, it's also really funny that whenever Slade was like going to kill all these people, but it was just random people, random faceless people. He was like, I'm okay with you killing thousands of people, but then like immediately whenever it affects him in some way, he has a conscience crisis. It's like, what did you think was going to happen, dude?
He's the bully. Like, he goes and shoves you until you punch him in the face, and he goes home and cries.
Yeah, but it's like, what did you think was going to happen in this instance, you know? I mean, I don't know.
And Oliver told him that, and I like the fact that they had that conversation before all this happened, and Oliver said, do you really think that Slade is going to let you do whatever you want?
Oh, yeah. And it's nice to see that whole thing pay off in such a way as to, still kill off Blood, get him out of the way. Like, he would have been just a loose end if they hadn't killed him.
Right.
But then, and also to just give Isabel a little bit more like of a threat level. Because the fight with Diggle at the beginning where Felicity hits her with the car, it's like, while that was threatening, it didn't really show the lethality, or I don't even think that's a word, but like the lethalness of her. I don't even know, what am I talking about? How lethal she actually is. Finally get the grammar right.
What do you think Blood's actual plan was? Like, he kept referring to, this is not what I planned,
or this is not what you promised me, or you're not. I think that he was gonna have
he said something about calling them off.
Yes,
but so like at some point, do they just go away? Either
at some point they were just going to go away, or he would solve the problem somehow. Like, they would just kill all of them, and then he would solve the problem and initiate all of these radical things that he wanted in the city. Which was what I think was going to happen if Oliver, like if he'd survived, he was going to try to say, well, I called in the arrow and gave him the cure, so you guys should, follow everything I say, because I'm, obviously smarter than everyone in this city. So I think that was the plan, was that he was gonna, they were gonna kill off all these guys at some point, but it was gonna be his idea or something that he did. I guess
my question is, in that situation, what did he think that Slade's motivations were? Like, why would Slade
to
go
kill
through all
Oliver?
This problem?
Because I think that he said that whenever he said, I think the plan is just that he thought that was just to get revenge on Oliver, so to kill him, or to kill the one person that he cares about most. Which, who do you think that is? That was a nice exchange, and we'll find out next episode probably. But he said,
well, it could either be like, this is who the show could make it be.
Yeah,
they could either make it be Sarah, or Laurel, or Thea, or perhaps Felicity. I think Felicity's low on the list.
She's lowest on the list, I think.
So it's one of those three.
Yeah.
I would hope that if he's going to try to kill, it's going to be Thea. Like, that one makes the most sense.
That does make the most sense. And that does make the most sense as far as, like, keeping Malcolm in the mix and the head-to-headness. This could be a three-way kind of a battle.
Except for the fact that he's shot now. And maybe that's how, like, maybe Slade gets a hold of Thea because she's shot Malcolm Merlin.
I don't know.
And she leaves him to die.
Yeah.
And, but I just, if she hadn't shot him, I don't see Slade getting his hands on Thea with Malcolm still in the picture.
That's true. I also think that it could be Sarah, or I would hope that it would be Sarah over Laurel. But maybe it would be Laurel just because
the show likes Laurel.
And it could also, I realize we've already had one death, but I just wonder if we're going to have another. I wonder if we're going to have another character death on the show. No idea.
Last year we had one.
Yeah, we had one.
Tommy.
Right, but we had Moira this last time, but that was a couple episodes ago. Could we possibly have another death before the end?
Who do you think it would be? If you could kill off one more character, who would you kill?
Gosh, that's a hard one, because Roy is kind of right there, because it's like if he could sacrifice himself, because he's kind of gone insane at this point. He could sacrifice himself for Thea, and that would be a really cool emotional path.
That would be.
They could redeem Laurel that way, in the same way. But I think they've already put in so much work to redeem her. I think that would be a little bit of a wasted emotional moment.
I actually something that I would like to see that, honestly, because the Queen family has lost so much.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how they deal with that. It'd be cool to see how now Detective Lance and Sarah deal with the loss of Laurel.
That could also polarize Detective Lance and the Arrow, because if Lance blames the Arrow for something like that,
I think he's over that kind of stuff. You know, like,
you think?
He knows that this stuff's dangerous. He knows that, you know, like, this is not Oliver's fault. You know, like,
that's true.
Plus we dealt with those kind of emotions, you know, whenever he blamed Oliver for Sarah's death in the first season. I don't see us going down that road again.
Yeah.
But I honestly do. I think that the one that makes the most sense probably is killing Roy to save Thea or something like that. You know, like, say Slade gets his hands on Thea. Roy sacrifices himself for her. Yeah. And, you know, we'll just see where this goes.
I mean, that's if they do have another, like, if they have another character that dies. I mean, it's like, they may not. Right. And they've been building up these characters, you know, that have longevity to them, so that they, you know, you are shocked whenever they, you know, so honestly, either one of those would probably shock me, but it's like, they might, because I'm just judging from last season finale, they had a death. Yeah. And so maybe they will this time too.
I mean, you know, I guess, you know, Tommy's death didn't necessarily surprise me last year, but Moira's did.
Oh my gosh.
That was completely out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But, and maybe...
Well, we also thought last year, here's the other thing, that it's like, they kind of set up last year to where somebody was going to die, but we didn't know who. Right. And they said, you know, Laurel was one of those characters that they said might die, or like they set up to be in that situation where she was, you know, she was right there too. And so it's like, man, you know, for I guess I almost I hope they don't kill her, because it's like, for them to keep her around for the lackluster season she's had, it's like, that would kind of suck.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and maybe they're doing this because just our expectations are going there and saying, you know, somebody's going to die, and maybe they'll do what another popular show did this year, and no one dies. You know, like...
I wonder which show you're talking... I know which show you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure I can
hopefully
guess.
They're all oblivious. Don't guess.
Oh, I'm not going to guess.
I'm not trying to spoil anything.
I'm not going to guess. All right, so the one thing I did want to mention about Blood as well, we explained something that you brought up last week, and then we can talk about the Argus side of things.
Oh, yeah.
We had him on the phone at one point, and it was just like him going... Oh, no, you don't need to come here. This is a city issue.
Oh, yeah.
Don't send the military. We don't need it.
Who do you think he was talking to?
I don't know.
Oh, he said the governor.
Yeah.
He was talking to the governor. And he said something about the National Guard.
Yeah. And that's who they thought that's who the vast populace thinks that this is that just showed up.
But, like, that one line, how long did that take to deliver? Maybe 3 seconds.
Yeah, and it should have happened last episode.
And it made the fact that the army's not showing up makes sense. And and that's the thing. That's why whenever I watch a movie or watch, you know, a show that doesn't do that,
I know, right?
It just makes them seem so cheap. It's like it took 3 seconds to very easily and plausibly explain away this.
And there was another thing in this episode that did something similar. Whenever you see on any like piece of media a car wreck where the heroes get in this big car wreck, the car flips and they're like, you know, and then they immediately break the window, get out, and start fighting. It's like, you know that that's not what happened. You know they're in there for a second going, what in the... Is everybody okay? Yeah. You know, and we showed that, and that took all of 3 seconds to show where it's like, is she breathing? And he's like, yeah, she's breathing. All right, let's go. And then they left. It's like, that takes all of like 3 seconds to do, and it's usually just like the car wrecks, and then... You know, before anything else happens, they bust out the window, and it's like, well, that's cool, I guess. It's like, that's so expected, and it's like so unrealistic to what would actually happen in that instance.
Yeah.
Plus, was she not wearing a seatbelt?
Apparently not. She wasn't following the law. Yeah, I agree. Like, I like stuff like that. Like, we're just covering our bases, and we're, you know, we are crossing our I's and dotting our T's with this show.
For sure.
And that's what makes this show better than, you know, like, other shows.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, and it's stuff like that. It's those small little details and that really go a long way to build authenticity with this universe and make it feel real.
Yeah, another, you know, like, again, I forgot that Blood had said that, and, you know, that again makes me be like, you know, what was, you know, I guess he was just expecting him to call everyone back, and
and he's like, hey, my police
was he going to walk out into the middle of the city and stop? and like everyone obeys him.
Maybe even wear his mask while he does it.
I mean, I understand he's a sociopath, obviously. Yes. Otherwise he wouldn't be doing all this.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know,
his death was also unexpected, but I also really enjoyed the fact that we built some I guess, empathy with his character because of the story about his father. And we didn't do a big flashback sequence. We didn't really demonstrate that at all, but he said, this is how I saw, this face is how I saw my father in my nightmares.
Yeah.
And so, for him to don the mask, it just gives him a level of backstory with all of 2 lines that just, it really... I guess just builds that character in 2 lines, and so that was just a genius placement on that.
It was good, I liked that. I honestly kind of wish we had that earlier. We kind of explored that whenever Laurel found his mother, right?
Yes, we explored the fact that his father was a crazy person as well. So and that kind of made him, a little more understandable then. I kind of wish that we'd gone down that route where explained the mask. Yeah. Right,
yeah. Explain the reason for the mask. And then, as you think back about all the times he's worn it, it makes so much more sense now.
Right.
Very much, you think about it, it looks a lot like Scarecrow's mask.
Yeah.
And that makes sense knowing the backstory.
Right. And even to the point of, you look at Batman, who's something that scared him as a child. He donned the
it was very Batman-esque.
Yeah, it's a very Batman, but it's on the flip side of the Batman story where it's this guy's obviously evil.
Well, right. Well, okay. So the difference there is Batman is more of a reluctant hero.
Yes.
Whereas Blood was trying to be a manufactured hero.
Yes, that's good. That's good. I like it. Anyway, I love that moment that took all of 2 lines to build all of this backstory with him, build all of this authenticity of character right before we killed him.
Yeah.
Boom. Was there anything? I'm more.
Oh, we want to talk about Argus.
Oh gosh, Argus. Yes, we gotta go back to this.
Can I complain and then we talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay. The last time we saw Argus, we saw the same situation in which she's going to kill a bunch of people.
Yeah, we already know about her fondness for drones and killing people.
And, in a world as realistic as Arrow, in which this exists, can exist in our world, there is, I don't care what government organization you are, you can't drone strike. A building was what they were doing last time.
500,000 people.
Drone strike an entire city and wipe them out without major repercussions. The rest of the United States would overthrow the government. It can't happen.
So the only way that this would work, and let me just posit this to you, and this is the way it would work in a comic book scenario. So that's a qualifier. So the way it would work in a comic book scenario is that she would do it and then cover it up saying that Slade blew up the city. Oh, it was a terrorist attack. They blew up the city. They were holding it for ransom. That's why we didn't go in and send our troops in. He blew up the city. It's his fault.
I'm okay with that explanation if they set it up ahead of time. And somebody says something like, don't you think this is a bad idea? Or don't you think, we'll get in trouble for this? Or something like that. And she explains it and that is another 3-second, conversation.
Yeah.
That they could, cover all that up with. But
she also hasn't had very much screen time, so it's it would have been nice to see a little bit more of her thought process here. Even because didn't we go visit her last episode, and that's how she found out about all of this stuff?
We did.
And so even after that, if they left and she was like, "Get the drones ready," and they're like, "You're gonna drone strike a city," and she goes, "Slade's gonna drone strike a city."
Yeah. Exactly.
Boom. Done.
And that would be amazing. And I honestly like that idea a lot.
Yeah.
So if they don't do that, I'll just pretend that happened.
It's in the cut scenes. It ended up on the cutting board, the floor of the cutting room.
The problem with this is the fact that I think that they're trying to make her character more of a good guy than she actually is.
Oh, dude, she's a terrible person.
She's a terrible person. But I think of in the larger DC universe, not just in the Arrow universe. She's more like a Maxwell Lord type character. Oh gosh, she's if you don't know who that is, you should go look it up.
Yeah.
Killed Wonder Woman.
Yes, and also she's like a Lex Luthor in that instance, but she's a Lex Luthor that's sanctioned by the government.
Right.
In that she is willing to do whatever it takes, doesn't care what the repercussions are, and she's very maniacal. Where she's essentially the same as Slade. Where other than being bent on revenge, she's bent on power and bent on maintaining control.
And that makes sense, but the thing is, because she works for the government, she has to operate within the checks and balances.
And we haven't built her character nearly enough to understand why this is okay.
I don't necessarily understand. I can understand, okay, if this is her mindset, we've already established that this is the way she deals with problems. That she just,
correct.
Just blanket wipes out anything that could even remotely give her a problem.
Yeah, and even at the expense of assets,
but
as in people.
I guess my frustration enters in whenever it's like, okay, this is operating with, this is sanctioned by the government. That's false.
Probably
never
not.
never be done.
Definitely not. But then again, she might operate, and depending on this world, and I hope we see more of what is the nation, not just the city, not just
think of all this.
What does the nation look like in the Arrow universe?
Right. I mean, this is 2 years, and they've had terrible things happen to them.
Oh man, the same city.
Yeah, the same.
It's
city.
like is stuff like this going on in other cities? I guess we'll find out whenever we get to the Flash.
Yeah, maybe stuff's happening in Central City all the time.
Gosh. I mean, it's got to if they need the Flash.
And that's always, you always wonder, why are people attracted to Metropolis?
Right.
Stuff. And some of that's because,
Superman's
there. So you're going to go mess with Metropolis because you want to mess with Superman.
Hey, dude, I just got superpowers and I'm an evil guy. Where do I go? Where do I go to pick a fight?
Florida.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, yeah, that's it. There's so much that's going to happen next week, and I don't know how any of it's going to play out. It's like our characters are less at risk. They're more poised for attack.
Well,
at this point.
We saw in the previews, what was cool, just basically Team Arrow walking down the street and going and fighting a bunch of guys.
And a lot of action. That's all we saw in the thing. It was just a bunch of hitting people.
And I'm cool with that. Yeah. I guess they're going to try to cure everybody by sticking them all with needles, finding every guy and whoosh, whoosh,
yeah.
Whoosh.
Well, as long as I like the sound. I'm just gonna stab a guy here and stab a guy there.
Yeah.
Stab a guy again there.
Yeah.
I just I don't know how Roy's gonna react to this thing. It's like, is he gonna be crazy? Is he gonna not have super strength? I don't know.
Was he marching in the preview? I thought I saw him.
I don't know. That flashed by so fast, and I still had my jaw agape from the episode.
What if it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and he shrinks down to a small person?
What if it's like, Honey, I blew up the kid, and
holy crap, there's a
gigantic.
Roy? Well, don't stick any of the rest of them with it. A bunch of giants to deal with.
Oh, that'd be bad news, dude. Bad news. Or it's like the Pinky and the Brain episode where you stab the Earth and it blows up too. So that way, by comparison, everything is
right. Yes. Yeah.
And it doesn't work
although
twice.
Our sun would be tiny.
Where did we go in this conversation? Things went wrong. Okay.
If the Earth were giant, would it have to be closer to the sun to heat up the entire atmosphere?
Yes.
There's more atmosphere?
And also, it would make the opposite, because it would take so much longer for the Earth to, actually, get around.
No, it just spins at the same rate.
Well, it'd have to go faster, because it's
It would have to go faster.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
I don't know. This is too much science. We need Bill Nye. That's who we need to come in and just tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
All right. Hoods up or hoods down?
How does the universe work?
Isn't that what they're trying to tell us with Cosmos? That whole series on Discovery? Yes. I don't know. I haven't been watching.
True. Hoods up.
I say hoods up for sure. We did 5 hoods up last week. Is this more hoods? I say it's more hoods.
We did 5 hoods up?
I think you did, or maybe you did 3. I don't know. You did multiple hoods up, and so I just wanted to see if was it better or worse than last week.
Way better than last week. I don't think I gave last week 2 hoods up.
You may not have.
I think that was the week before whenever Moira died.
Yes, that was what it was.
I gave 2 hoods up.
Okay, so
I give this 1.5 hoods up thing.
1.5. We're holding back this other hood.
What's crazy is we started this scale as just a yes or no vote.
Yeah, it's like,
and now it's escalated into a rating.
It's like a thumbs up or thumbs down, but it's like now it's like
how 5.5 stars.
How far is your thumb up? Can it go any higher than an up? You know?
Is it armpit in the air? Up?
Yeah.
Or is it just a
and mine's like a yeah.
We will develop a more scientific method of rating these for next week.
For the season finale.
Yes.
We're gonna take 10 minutes and lay out to you our rubric for rating these things. On the last episode.
Don't expect that next week.
All right.
Quotes.
We have, at the very beginning of the episode, there was, "You killed me, now let me return the favor," from Isabel Rochef to Diggle. That was a good moment.
It was good.
Plus, but I wanted to see them throw down for longer before she got run over. I just like Diggle.
I did like that, though, because dissed Felicity.
That's
Felicity
true.
didn't even know, and
Right
then she
before.
ran her over.
Oh gosh, Felicity, I love,
pretty awesome.
love Felicity. Then we've got right after that. She goes, "Man, I really thought the airbags were going to go off."
Yeah.
I also love because she's playing the audience at that point and saying exactly what everyone else is thinking. Like, wouldn't the airbags have gone off?
Yep.
Anyway, which honestly, like I've thought that if I've hit a deer before in a car and the airbags don't go off, and you're like, why didn't they go off?
And you're like, in what situation do these airbags go off? What does it take?
What does it take? I hit that at 60 miles an hour. Anyway, at that point, I think you've malfunctioning airbags. So
maybe.
There's "Let's take this city together." That was a good line. I liked that
Who
one.
said that?
It was who was it? I don't even remember. Somebody saying something to Oliver. I don't remember. Anyway. I know. I just typed it down because I heard somebody saying it was
the
cool.
sound suspect.
What if that isn't in the episode at all? Fact checked John, and it's not in there. Oh gosh. Oh man. And then there's Detective Lance whenever he said, "There's only one more guy to call." Like they list off all these guys. Like it's like, nope, he's taken out. Not he's dead. And he's like, "There's only one more person to call, but you're not gonna like it."
Like, dang it, you're right.
Oh, you're right. And then he also went on to say, "We've got masks tearing up our city. It's going to take masks to stop them." I like that moment.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I think that's where you're talking like we might see in season 3 a little bit more of interaction and like support from the police force.
Which would be amazing.
That'd be so good, dude.
Let's put Lance in charge of the entire police force.
That'd be great. That'd be so
cool. The
cool.
other one's dead.
Oh yeah, of course.
Rise to power.
I mean, it's like I feel like he very well could. Then there was the you're out of arrows, and the guy goes, "You're out of arrows," and Malcolm goes, "You're not," and that I already mentioned that one, so it's kind of lost a little bit of its flair.
Yes.
And then there was where was it? Felicity. She says, "If you guys die, I'm gonna be pissed."
Yes.
That was a good moment. And then the quote end all quotes, "I have failed this city." All right, that's it for this episode of Arrow on Target. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. That's JohnWright777 and
ChrisWright250. I will put the interview I read with Malcolm Merlin and referenced and the Stephen Amell AMA. I'll link that at stayontargetpodcast.com in this article.
Yes, and that's stayontargetpodcast.com. We also have a mainline podcast that comes out every Friday, and this
Stay
one,
on Target.
Yeah, it's on Stay on Target, and then this one actually comes out every Thursday morning or live on Friday night just after the show starts.
Is this Friday?
Not Friday.
Are
I'm
you sure
sorry.
this is not Wednesday?
I'm wanting it to be.
This show goes on YouTube on Wednesday. And then we'll be on the podcast via iTunes tomorrow.
And directly after this episode, Chris is going to teach me my days of the week.
Yes. How to count to 10.
Oh, there's 10 days in each week?
There are.
This is news to me,
Wait,
Chris.
No, there are not
What?
10 days. You're taking everything I say out of context.
All right. That's all for this week. We'll see you next time on Arrow on Target.